What's
Morning,
up?
good
Good
morning, good
morning.
morning. What's going on? Welcome to another Friday, family. How we doing?
Welcome. It's been a struggle. I'm gonna tell you, my morning's
Yeah,
been a struggle.
yes,
Cause
mine's as
I
well.
I rolled out of my bed late.
Mm,
Shadow looking at me from behind the mesh guard, like, so we not getting up today? What we do? So
yes,
yes, but we had to come through, be strong, get our energies
absolutely,
up. Cause it's
absolutely.
Friday, y'all. It's Friday, and it is our mini series, understanding vulnerability moments. Mr. Vulnerability, how you doing today?
Yeah, it is rough today. I woke up this morning, stuffed up nose, scratchy throat, and the first thing the missus was like, you go take one of them COVID tests." I'm like, "Yo, it could be a cold. We still have colds in this time." So it's I'm not feeling the greatest this morning, but yeah, we got to show up, right? It is what it is. I done dropped me a couple of cough drops, and I'm ready to roll because the people need to understand that it's all about moving forward. People are looking and depending on you. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me to increase me so I can continue to give you value. So that's what it's about today.
Amen. Amen. And we are so excited to have y'all here, have y'all being a part of this journey with us because we've been through a lot in March and we only on part three. we've
Yeah.
you've taken us through, like, and I could always say, a master class. You've taken us through understanding what vulnerability is. You broke it down to us and told us there were four types of vulnerability. And of course, you showed us the way to be vulnerable, taking action on that, taking action to
Yes.
embracing that vulnerability. And also, what was it, last week? You told us, hey, this is about being real with yourself and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's where people really find, I want to say, they find your juicy spot in that area, right? You're able to
Absolutely.
let them understand you, get to know you, and really that's where the connections are made. And all of this is part of you, where you go into a deeper dive with your 4 week intensive, and that starts April 2nd, you said. Tell
April
us a little bit
4th.
about that. April 4th.
April
Tell us
4th,
a
that
little
first
bit
Monday.
about that, because people can head on over there to carlshawnwatkins.com/VTP to get a part of that training. But give them a little bit of insight on that.
Yeah, it's a 4 week, and I call it intensive because it's just what it is. If you don't want to do the work, if you do want to do the work, I should say not don't, because I know we all want to get better. If you do want to do the work, it's a place where you want to be. I dive down into you, getting to know you. It's a 4 week intensive with exercises. It's a post system as well, so you can get and so you can let people see you. It's also indicative of sharing your story, which I use a lot for empowerment, and it also helps you to embrace who you truly are. So when I walk you through that, we're gonna go today through a few of my in-depth steps of how we do that. But it's just a 4 step program, and I have this program. It's from head to toe. So I have it on one, and I do the same thing in corporate. It works the same across all menus because it's individualized for each person. So you move in the flow that you're able to move, that you're able to embrace your vulnerability. So let's get it.
Yeah, so today we talking about using
Yes,
your
Rob.
story so you
Rob.
can lead.
Rob told me to get some Vicks Vapor Rub. Yes, Rob, I can use some of that right now.
Man, you know how many Vicks Vapor Rubs? I'm sorry about sidetracking, but I have
Yeah.
so many. I had like my whole area ready, my whole cabinet ready, and I'm just like, I barely get sick. But when I do, I'm like, did this go bad? Did this
Yeah.
expire? Like, dang.
I'm
So
I'm like
I'm
that too.
I'm always looking for something natural to help me get through, because I can't buy all those expensive medicines and I barely use them, because that's not the way to go either.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go. But tell us about these myths about being vulnerable, telling your story, and one of them that we had ready, because you see I'm looking for her. I'm so tired. Okay, so Wait, you told did you send me the myth?
The myth, yeah,
Yes, you
Mythbusters.
did. Yes, you
Yes, I
did.
did.
Yes, you
Let's
did. Yes,
roll.
you did. Yes, you
Let's
did. I'm
roll.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's
I'm
roll.
tired. Okay.
That's
Okay.
how y'all. We still doing it. It's Friday. What's up, everybody? Let me give this moment out to thank everybody who's coming by the show. Thanks, Johnny, checking me out from Philly. I'm across the bridge in South Jersey, bro. Appreciate you, Gertrude. Appreciate you, Mariah, Alexandria, Carla, Rob. Appreciate you guys stopping by this morning. We about to get it rolling. We about to get it rolling. If you just tuning in, my voice may sound a little funny because I woke up this morning feeling real horrible. The wife said, "Yo, get that COVID test from up under the bathroom sink." I'm like, "Yo, it's just a cold. Give me some halls. I'm good." We keep forgetting it's cold and flu season, also, right? So we just everything ain't COVID. But anyway, so I got all that out the way with that. Y'all drop in the comments. Let me know what y'all thinking this morning. Tuning in. Give us some of your perspective on what we're talking about this morning. We definitely want to dive into your comments as well. And I'll come back through, answer anything, and give you guys some of my feedback on what you're dropping in. I appreciate you. The Mythbuster today. You can be innovative without being vulnerable. If I was on Family Feud, you would definitely get that buzzer. Without you being vulnerable, you cannot be innovative. All right. They tie in together. For you to be vulnerable, you have to know about you to be innovative, for you to be creative. Those are the juices that are inside of you that pumps out once you have an in-depth knowledge of who you are. And when I say in depth, I don't mean on a path of psychology. You going to these appointments every day, they telling you about you. You know, you humming, you burning sage. I'm not talking about that mess. I'm not talking about that as a myth. I'm talking about the essence of understanding your path, what you are passionate about, what drives you, the values that you live by, the values that you walk by. Because a lot of times we have different sets of values. We have values that we have at the job, we have values that we have at home, we have values that we have in relationships. The correlation of it and you being an innovative person with your vulnerability, those same values are across the board. So everyone that interacts with you, they interact with you and not versions of you. Now, with it being versions of you, that's definitely the case because we wear many hats, right? But the hats are only the administrations, how you do that version. It still should encompass you as the individual. And with you being that way, then you can have the power to be innovative because you grab from places within that drives your desire and creativity. And without you being vulnerable, you can't access that ability. So it's definitely a myth where you think you could be vulnerable, where you think you could be innovative without being vulnerable. The most vulnerable innovators, the most, I say, credible, reliable, all the innovators or even inventors that have invented things that you use on an everyday basis, there was vulnerability patches in their life where they went to a place to say, "Oh, this is what I can do. This is what I can provide." So you cannot be innovative without being vulnerable. That's the mythbuster for the day, family.
I love it. And we're going to dive into just about four quick, and we're going to do it quickly, four
Yes.
reasons why stories are vital. And
Hmm.
you brought up one that, story raise your awareness to what's going on with you, what's
Hmm.
happening. And a lot of times you allow it to raise awareness on situations.
Hmm.
It could be business, it can be personal, it can be social, but when you're telling a story, it allows people to connect to that and allow them to always remember. How has that helped you along the way? Because I know you're a great storyteller. So how has
Hmm.
that helped you get your word across, especially when it comes to vulnerability?
Story is you, and once we adapt the courage to tell our story, regardless of the pitfalls, we only share our story in parts, and we only share the parts that we think move people. A lot of times, that actually could be a myth buster because the part of your story which you think is so credible that will inspire someone else is definitely not the part that will inspire them. It's the part that inspires you because it builds a facade around the totality of who you are. So the power that raises awareness when you tell your true story, who you truly are, someone can make a connection with that and be the betterment for that. So in essence of telling your story, and it raises awareness not only to your situation, but it raises awareness to those that may be going through what you're going through and haven't identified it. It makes a connection to them to say, "Oh, I'm feeling those same kind of things, but I never knew what to call it." Or "I'm dealing with this and I never knew how to identify it." "Oh, wow, that sounds like some circumstances that I went through. How can I overcome it?" So when we start sharing that, it raises awareness not only to the circumstances around you, but it raises awareness to the ones that are going on within you. Because once you continue to tell your story, it is also therapy for you. Others get engaged in your story and you find answers to things that you hadn't even found. So that's why it's so important to share your story, because it does raise the awareness not only in you but in others as well.
Yeah, and I'll say that I've noticed that a lot. And the more people go through tragedies and just to be something that's really clear for a lot of us to connect with, you see a lot of folks who go through tragedies. They make that their mission, right? They're telling their stories. They're
Yeah.
traveling all over the world telling their stories because something in that story, somewhere along the way, people who can resonate always connect, always say, oh, wow, this helped me. I was in a dark space. And you see that a lot of times with singers. They always, those who put out some amazing music, people, their fans always come back to them and say, wow, I was in a dark space and I heard your song and I always listen to your music. It pulls me out. It uplifts me. It brings me to another place. So I love that you're bringing that to the forefront. And it also goes into our next part where stories increase the understanding of what's
Mhm.
going on. And if you're doing an internal take and you're listening and you're going through, because it's almost like journaling and it's like this cathartic thing that you're doing for yourself as well as helping other people. You're telling your story, you're being aware of what's happening inside you. So that's also giving you an understanding of maybe why you go through certain emotional situations or why certain things trigger you. It's allowing you to understand, have a better understanding of that. How has that helped you as well?
Uh,
And also your clients.
and help it does increase the understanding, and like I just tapped on a little bit about it with the awareness part. What it does is increase what you're actually going through, sharing your story, walking through your story, because a lot of times we've lived a lot of things, and you notice sometimes when people share stories, they tend to remember parts of the story that they didn't remember before, or that was isolated before, or it may have just been a bad experience that they didn't want to involve in part of that story. So when you continue to tell that story that is yours and you embrace that story, you start to understand not necessarily why it happened to you, because we never really figure that out, or we never justify why it happens to you, but understanding how you move through it, how you've moved through it, how have you even handled it, what way have it directed your path so far. And then you get an understanding of, okay, my story has power. I can move forward through it. I just have to embrace it. You're on mute.
I
You're
was
on mute,
muted.
Tanya.
I know. I'm getting there. I'm waking up. I'm getting there.
Oh.
So, and when you're doing that, you're also without even really thinking or trying too hard, you're building relationships.
Mhm,
And I wanted to kind of do a twofold with this. You're building relationships with all, which also leads you to improving the quality of life for
mhm,
yourself and
mhm.
others around you. Can you give us a abridged uh, uh, build out on how that looks for us? Because a lot of times we're so busy doing the things, we never
Mhm.
really see the results are happening around us.
That's really a bigness that really has come to pass a lot, where people are being more aware of now with the COVID. And though we have moved up the road, it's 2 years now. We're further along than it was when it first came out. What it did do for us is cause us to pause. And in the essence of that pause, a lot of us caught up to some things that we had neglected for so long. And in your story, that's a part of that. We had this collectiveness of, if we continue to be busy as hamsters in the wheel, then we're accomplishing things. But what the pandemic has showed us, that the things that you have already accomplished, you haven't even appreciated. That being able to go out for a meal, that spending time with family, those loved ones that you know that you miss, that you haven't talked to. So with that pause, and now it's really being expressed even in commercials and things that you see. Take the time out to enjoy what you've already accomplished, because we're so busy in this. We're an accomplishment of society, and it's the next man up. So we're just so busy with, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. We don't even turn around and see all the things that we've left, the path we've made, the journey we've traveled. So those things are important, and that what improves your quality of life. Sharing the story will do that for you when you realize and understand, to build your stronger relationships. Say, yo, this is what I did. Even if you guys would just go back 2 years on when you first started, when this pandemic first hit us hard, how much have you learned? How much have you grown? How much ways have you been pushed out of your comfort zone to learn and understand new things, new technology, new ways of life, new ways of communicating? Man, we've come a long way in just a short time, and we need to embrace that so we can build on that and get greater through it.
Yes, and when you're doing this, especially in your program,
Hmm.
you have a list of things that you do to build that foundational path for your clients.
Hmm.
And it's because, of course, like we already know, you've been through a lot of this, so you
Hmm.
know this has been such a groundbreaker, and then you've helped others go through it as well. So
Hmm.
you have something called the CTFAR, the
Yeah.
CT
CT far, yeah. I
So
couldn't get no more prettier with the with the acronyms. You know, people get pretty acronyms and it spell all of these pretty things. Yo, this is truth.
yeah, I hear you. Sometimes you just got to here's the
Yeah,
acronym. Just you
that's it.
figure out the
Work with it.
words. You
Work.
got far out of it, so that's good. That's close enough. So let's dive
Oh.
into the CT FAR concept that you've built, where
Mhm.
you're creating a foundational path to embracing the vulnerability. And I think a lot of this is where the story comes in, where you can use your storytelling to touch on these areas.
Yeah, the first one to begin with is circumstances. What space am I in? This is really where the foundation lies, and this is also your starting point. So I most of the time start with clients with that. What space am I in? What circumstances are causing me to not embrace or avoid my vulnerability altogether? What space am I in that's causing me to act in this way and not embrace my values of who I really believe that I am truthfully? What space am I in that is not allowing me to be who I need to be? Who's not allowing me to grow? Once we figure out these circumstances, then we have a foundation of which to start and how to get out of that. We first have to find out what space am I in. And it's not a psychological question, though it will provide some psychological answers. It's just really just figuring out where you are. And in that, where you are mentally, where you are physically, where you are in thought process, where you are there. So we can start there and let's work from there toward the next step.
Again, that next
Yeah.
step is your thoughts. So once you get through that and you're
Hmm.
understanding your circumstances, then it plays into, okay, now let's figure out where our thoughts are and
Yeah.
how we can sort through our thoughts, because the
Hmm.
thoughts bring us to the next one as well. But I want you to get into the
Yes.
thoughts a little bit.
And if you guys are following it, this is a God, what these connected dots. These are connected dots, and they all interact with each other. And as for the foundation, that is the journey. So if you travel along this journey, you'll get down to the last one. The thoughts are just going back, so we can make sure we connect the dots to the circumstances. How do I feel about where I'm at? How do I feel about where I'm in? How do I feel about the space that I'm in? How do I feel, and what are the thoughts toward me working in this place? What are the thoughts toward me moving forward? What thoughts do I have about even where I'm at? The thoughts about who I am as a person, the thoughts about why I'm in this situation, the thoughts about how can I move out of this situation. So when we think about those circumstances, the thought processes was really the engine that's going to drive the next part of this path.
That goes into understanding your feelings, because you said
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
once you understand the circumstances, you have the thoughts, now you can sort through your feelings. And I want us to get into the feelings a bit, because that's how,
Hmm.
when you're leading from strength and you're not tapping into your weakness, you're not tapping into the fears so much, but you're using the story part of you, the
Hmm.
story of your journey, you talking about your journey, so you can lead others in strength. And that means you're coming from a strong point of your life. You're not coming from a vulnerability sense of, oh, I'm scared, I don't think I can do it. You're coming from that point of, no, I'm taking all of that and I'm using it as my superpower to push me through, to propel me to the next level. So when it comes down to getting into your feelings and really making it where you're not in your feelings on a negative standpoint, you're in your feelings to say, yes, this is why I feel this way. I can put my finger on it, I can identify it, but now let's make it something positive.
Yeah, the feelings is just that it just connects, and I can't say that enough because I want to emphasize that. How am I feeling in this? What are giving me these feelings that make me arrive at these thoughts about these circumstances? See, it's all a puzzle. So if I'm feeling some kind of way, then I have to understand why I'm feeling that way. How am I feeling in what's going on? How am I feeling in the thoughts that I have about the situation? Am I am I a little timid about being in that? Am I unsure? Is there uncertainty? How am I feeling about that? And how can I identify that so I can move forward with it and not slumber in it and stay in it? So the feelings are very important that you express these. A lot of times we have problems expressing feelings, or when we do, they're at a capacity of 100 degrees. And when I mean that, somebody didn't get on your nerves, you didn't took it long enough, and now you're about to explode. But feelings are feelings are release valves, such as tears, such as crying. When you hold all those in, you got pressure on the inside. When you're not expressing your feelings, there's pressure on the inside. Think of it as something getting ready to blow. There's pressure. And each and every time that you're adding it to it, you're just extending that pressure. It's not going to take the pressure for much longer. So you have to express your feelings. You have to learn how to express your feelings in a way that's feasible, that's not at 100 degrees, that's not at 100 miles an hour, that's not as offensive, that's tactful and understanding that. So when you get the feelings, you can start feeling about, hey, why I think this way? Why I thought about this? Oh, this is why. This is why, because it's a circumstance I'm in. So let's change that. And that's another connecting the dot moment.
Yeah, and then that, because this is our year of action, so that's where it
Absolutely.
takes you into, once you understand those feelings, how are you going to now act on that? And you just touch a little bit about it. Like,
Hmm.
depending on how you address your feelings, it can go left, it can be negative, or you can do it and take a positive step towards something. So, how you see a lot of people, they go through so many emotions, they go through so many situations, and when they're ready, they decide which type of action they're taking. So some take it the route of storytelling to the masses, so they become speakers, they become authors. They find ways to let their story out and let their feelings out in a way that's productive action. So you
Hmm.
want to figure out what type of actions to take. What have been some of the things that you've noticed as actions? Because that maybe we haven't seen, or positive things we don't know.
A lot of the misconception, another myth buster. I'm coming up with a few of them this episode. Another misconception is action mean I'm doing something. Action is about changes. It's not about continuance. A lot of times we act on things and we continue to act, and whether it's good or bad, whether it's moving forward or it's having us at a stalemate. Actions are about making changes. So when I decide to act upon, that means in the present situation I'm in, the present circumstance I'm in, I am going to make a change to that. I'm not going to continue to build on that, and I'm not going to continue to waste time in that. I'm going to change that, because when you ask someone to do action, you're asking them to make a change from the things that you're doing. When we share at this value, we're sharing this value that we're giving to you for you to take action. And for you to take action means to change the mindset and perspective, even the narrative of how you think you're doing things. This is when we see growth, when we come out of self, because a lot of times we hold in these actions. Oh, I'm doing something. It goes right back to the busy theory, goes right back to the hamster. Yes, he's doing something. He's running around in a circle, legs tired. But what is he really doing? Yeah, you can identify it with action because action is a verb and he's running. You can identify the things that you do as actions because you're doing something. But actions is change. And the myth that we all have is if I'm doing something, I'm moving toward the right thing. It's not necessarily the case. You hit on it very well when you say actions. Your actions should denote you doing something that avails something to you. So if I'm taking action to be better, I should be getting better. So these are the things that, and how do I get better? Change has to happen. You can't get better being the same. It's kind of like that irony to say, what they say, insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. That's how we do with actions. We keep doing the same things because we think we act and we think we moving forward, and we're steady falling into the same outcome. So action denotes change. So what are you doing to make these changes? with the actions. That's the key part of it.
Yeah, and I love that because we had a brief, well, not brief, it wasn't brief. We had a in-depth conversation
Yeah.
about yesterday about, sexual harassment and taking
Hmm.
action. What
Yes.
can be done to make changes? And it's not the lip service, it's not
Hmm.
the dusting under the rug type of thing. So it's the same thing here, the same concept. If you're in a vulnerable state, if you're in a vulnerable situation, now, what's the action you can do to change that situation? And maybe your time going through that is over, but you want to help others get out of it. You want to help others make a change so they can come out of that situation. So it's all about understanding where you can go to create actionable steps to make a change in your life. And that's where the results come in for
Hmm.
you, when you can actually go in, see all that you've been through, and now you're starting to understand and realize the results. How has that shaped out?
It shaped out well because when I start people with the circumstances and they walk through this path and get to the results, there is a lot of, I wouldn't even say aha, it goes a little deeper than that. There is a lot of maybe relief and understanding, wow, I didn't even know that this is the trajectory that my life was going on. I didn't even know that this is the movement that I'm not moving. I didn't even know that I felt this way about my circumstance. When you start undelving and uncovering those things on that path, you start to really embrace the person you are. And embracing the person you are, your vulnerability shines through. People see the power and authentic you at that point because you have embraced that. A lot of times we wonder why, oh, why I can't get with this one, or why this one don't understand me. Because you don't even understand yourself. You haven't even embraced yourself. You're still hiding behind different pockets of your life and journey that you're not willing to share. And when I say that, I don't mean telling everybody everything. There's a lot of things that I share to you, and it's things that I share personally. I shared a lot of personal things yesterday in the setting I was in because that setting called for that. And this is where we get confused about vulnerability versus oversharing. Vulnerability is sharing what moves someone forward. So, in the essence of sharing that, it has to edify the person I'm sharing it with. Other than that, it's oversharing. And you'll know that because as soon as it come out your mouth, you will get that feeling that maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's your conscience right there. That's your calling card right there. And that lets you know right there you've overshared. But if you're sharing something and you're being vulnerable with someone based upon something that happens that shows overcoming, that provides something for someone else. That's where vulnerability kicks in.
I feel like that awareness comes if you have it.
Mhm.
Some people just don't have the awareness
Some
to
people they
realize.
have it, but they don't care. And
No,
I
no,
know
I
some
get
people
it,
going
but
to say that, yeah.
yeah, but I'm just gonna dive into those who just they're not there. They don't have the awareness. I don't know why it's not clicking. Sometimes people will be like, that was not okay. All right, but all of these points really
Mhm.
go back to what we've always said through this entire mini series. Your story is your journey. So
Mhm.
you're going through these journeys. You're going through the CT journey to understand the foundational path that you're on, so you can start embracing your vulnerability. And we gave some actionable items last week on how to embrace those. So
Mhm.
once you start to understand, okay, this is where I'm coming from, now it's time to take my story to the next level. And we talked about this a little bit earlier today, where your story is going to do a couple of things. It's going to raise awareness. It's going
Mhm.
to, and the awareness is not always for everyone else. It's for you. A lot of these are internal that we're
Mhm.
talking about. So you telling your story, you understanding your story, that's bringing awareness to you. That's allowing you to also have an increased understanding, and it's
Mhm.
also allowing you to build stronger relationships. So you got to understand these and recognize these, and then before you know it, you're improving the quality of your life. So you want to make sure that these are things that you're going through, because like most things, there's a path to this. There's a
Mhm.
method to this. And the method is not because you can do it wrong. You just want to do it in a way that's beneficial, not just to others who can hear your story, but to you. Because, like I said, with vulnerability, it's something that can be cathartic in a way to allow you to release a lot of tension, a lot of hurt, a lot of unsureness, uncertainty. So for you, Carl, and I want to bring it back to how you help people through this intensive 4 weeks, because 4 weeks to go through vulnerability,
Mhm.
that's game changing for a lot of people, because sometimes we're like, oh, are we talking to a counselor? What are we doing?
Mhm.
So for you, how has that been, you showing and using your story so you can lead others like you have been through a place of strength and not a place of weakness?
The power that I have, and the power. The first of all, the power is within you. So you have to make the person understand that totally. I can't move anything for you. It's the work that you have to do, but it's the trust and it's the safe space that I create in talking to me that really is the difference in dealing with the vulnerability. Yes, vulnerability is life's work. I've been doing it for my whole life. So it's a life's work as far as you getting to the point of embracing and using it for the betterment of yourself and also the power. What I do is set the stage for you so you can walk the journey. And in the essence of walking the journey, you have to have a safe space that you can begin. We do a practice, which is a practice arena. You can't be better at anything unless you practice. That is all things. That's your profession. That is the things you want to get better at. That's the knowledge you want to obtain. If you're not practicing with the application, you're not getting better. This is the same with vulnerability. But what I do is give you the safe space to share that and to practice that. And in that 4 weeks, by being that intensive, it's a foundation that's laid. And the work from you must go on to that. I also have a 3 month and a 6 month coaching program that we can continue to work on with that. But the basis of how I got this was to introduce people to themselves to build the foundation of. And yes, it is scary. And yes, I've had a couple of people that sit in and kind of like it took some kneading and some pushing and some prodding to get that done because, of course, they're in a place of uncomfortability. But once the safe space has been established, the power begins to overflow. And it definitely lets you understand that, yo, I can do this. And I just love, I can say it, but because we all can kind of visualize that, the ha ha moment. How do you feel when you figured something out? How great a feeling that is when you figure something out, regardless of whatever it is, whatever you're working on. How great is it that you feel that and you say, oh man, this was powerful? That's what it's like working with me. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you. That's what I'm saying because I'm saying.
Yes,
Mm,
Alex, it's the practice. It's putting it in action. It's understanding that, this is what you're supposed to do. This is
mhm,
how you get it done so you can see the results. Because a lot of times we always talk to ourselves about, oh, I want to do something different in my life, or I can't live like this anymore. Now is the way to do it. Now is the way that if you're in a vulnerable space, things are happening all around you. Stop allowing you to be that recipient of what's happening around you and start taking action. We can't control everything around us, but there's things that we can take control of. We can start to remove ourselves out of certain spaces. And even if we can't do it alone, the more we talk to people, the more we realize there's people in our network, in our communities that can help us. So that's part of where the vulnerability moments and understanding what they are comes
mhm,
in. That's why this mini series is so important, because you need to understand how to start speaking your story, how to share your story, how to allow others in to help you, especially, and then of course how to accept the help. There's times when people offer us help and we're like, nah, I'm
mhm.
okay, I got it, nothing's wrong. But that's not true.
No.
That's not true.
And that's us not being true. That's not us being true to ourselves. And this is why I'm working so hard and I'm working tirelessly now with the DEI space and the C-suiters to understand that you're building a barrier for which you can't get any help. and that help does not take away from. It's things like, I'll put it like this, as simply for those who's watching. There are things that I can't do as a man. It does not change me from being a man. There's just things that I can't do, and I'm okay with that. I am a smart dude. I'm not a handyman, so I hire a handyman, and I don't feel less than a man because I hired a handyman. See, when you get to that point in place of understanding things that you can't do, vulnerability has set in. You're already there. I've embraced who I am. I embrace my role. I take care of what I take care of. And if I don't, I get help too. Angie's List was the best thing that ever happened to me because Lord knows I used him to death. If it's nothing but just fixing and I could do a few things, I could screw in a bulb and those kind of things. But I mean, there's things that I just won't bother because I know I'm not qualified to do that. And I mean, qualified mean I don't know how to do it, and it does not change who I am. It does not change the man that I am. It doesn't take any masculinity away from me. That doesn't make me weaker or less than. It's just things that you can't. And I was telling a lot of C-suiters lately that I've been talking to. I've been really been just going after them, so to speak, to understand that when you get to this realization, people will fall over to try to do things for you, and they will fall over because they give them an opportunity for them to shine, for their innovativeness, for their creativeness, for their ability to move you forward. People love that. And if you don't pick up on that, man, you think this great resignation is something. Boy, I hate to see it in a few more years when people really embrace their value and what they bring to the table. It's going to be in
Mm.
trouble. We're going to be in trouble.
So don't forget the next cohort starts
Yes.
soon. Jump
Yes.
on in, callshawnwatkins.com/VTP. You want to get your vulnerability up 4 weeks. 4 weeks is really not a lot. It's a month. It's a
No,
month
it's
of
a month,
your
and it's going to go
time
by so
invested.
fast.
Yeah.
I've had people like, "Oh, I was just really getting this, and it's over." Yeah, once you do the work, yeah, man, you be like, "Oh my God, time flies when you're having fun." Such a true statement. And when you
But see,
start,
that's when they can tap into you for a
yeah,
one-on-one. That's all.
oh,
That's all.
absolutely, yeah,
They don't gotta
we
let you go.
no,
They
they
just
ain't gonna
gotta
let me go.
tap
They ain't
in
gotta
and
let me
do
go.
that.
We can
But
move you up the chain, move you to the next thing. You know what I mean? Move you to. I got quite a few programs that's available. I got the one on ones. I got the groups. I got the coaching, the 3 months, 6 months. Also got this. I do this in your corporations. I got a big one that I'm doing in outside Philadelphia next month that I'm doing. It's supposed to be about 300 people there. I had a
nice.
Zoom call a couple of days ago that I posted about that I was in on a Zoom leadership vulnerability and leadership meeting where, and it just realized that I just realized it after I saw the post that I took that picture and I wasn't in the thing. It was so many people. I looked, I was like, where am I at? But it was just so many people, and I took a snapshot while we were on there. But yes, this is what we're gonna have to do, and this is where it begins. It begins with you. And when you get ready to make those changes and when you get ready to do that, I'm here to help you through that. And that 4 week intensive will do that. And I call it intensive because that's exactly what it is. We're gonna hit the ground running, snow coming in stalling. Because somebody said something to me yesterday, it was really profound. You have a lot of people that want to get better. They get into these programs, they spend money to them, and then they find themselves not engaging or not remembering the dates or not putting in their calendar. Anything that I sign in for or I pay my money for or something I want to learn, I make space for that. So if you're going to be in this program, make the space for that so you can get the best out of it. Because I want no one to spend their money and say, "Oh man, I didn't get it." You only didn't get it because you didn't do it. It's not that I
Hmm.
didn't provide it, and I don't mean that as how it sounds, but it's really are. And when they said that to me, that made a lot of sense because a lot of times we get into stuff and buy stuff and do courses and all of that, and
Yeah.
we don't engage. We miss meetings. We don't show up at Zooms. We keep our calendar the same. We still, there has to be change. That's what action is about, changing. So I
Yes.
just want to throw
Yes.
that tidbit out there on the way out.
Love it. So don't forget, you guys can catch us on Team Live and Team Replay at
Absolutely.
brooklyn.custom.designs.com/live dash miniseries. And this is where all of our miniseries will be. If
Hmm.
and you can catch up. Never feel like you're out of the conversation. Drop your
Absolutely.
combos, drop your perceptions, because that's where we thrive and we can allow each other to grow and learn from each other when we start to share our thoughts. So it's been amazing. I'm loving everything. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for everyone who came through today. I know Friday, child. We there.
yeah,
But there's so much going on, especially on the oh wait, hold on. My cohort, he's dropped something. Hold
yeah.
on.
Because I want people to go there and check out my blogs. I got about 50 articles in there I wrote. You can also go and check out my blogs on my LinkedIn space as well. You could go and read that because I've dropped a few more in there on my website that I haven't transferred some pieces to LinkedIn, but go on there, just read some of the things that I delve into and some of what I provide. I put the one in there in case you need a reminder. Your vulnerability still matters. That's a top notch one on that. I wrote some case studies as well, so it's not just me getting out here talking about, oh man, this guy got something new. I don't have anything new, but what I am is just going through a lot of my life experiences that wasn't shared before this time, and tried to share with people, and they wasn't getting it. But now seems like it's an opportune moment for me to do that, and I'm proud to be the one that's leading the way. Get out the way, Brene. I'm coming.
Oh Lord. So that's that's carlshawnwatkins.com/blog. We're not gonna let him take a dive to the petty bar. Not today. We're not doing it. Not today. It's
I'll
been
say,
a great
I'll say, I get a
Friday. No, it's been a great Friday. You see, that's what happened when you're at the petty bar. That's what happened when you're at the petty bar. Your internet get interrupted.
Yeah, it
Your
does. It
internet
does.
get interrupted when you're at the petty bar. So we
It
we gon'
does.
we gonna say good night.
Oh wow.
We gonna say have a good
Good.
weekend. But before we
Bye.
do,
Not good
make
night,
sure
man.
you are here. We make sure you're here for part 4, March 25th, 9 a.m. Eastern, because we're about to go and take it to the leadership. We talked a little bit about C-suite not too long ago, but you see what happened? We're gonna take it to the leadership, and we're gonna talk about vulnerability in the leadership space in the
Mhm.
workplace, and
Yes,
how you guys as leaders, hello CEOs, it's not just about your titles and sitting behind a door. It's about
absolutely.
understanding how to embrace your own vulnerability, and of course allow others in your workspace to embrace theirs. So we can't wait to do that. That's going to be an amazing way to shut this mini series down for March. But please stay tuned because we're still working on some more mini series for you. And let us know, what are you interested in? What type of conversations do you want to have for the mini series, so we can put those together, and of course understand how we're going to make it happen for you, and how we all going to grow together, because that's the way we really build a community. So thank you
Absolutely.
all for coming through, and we'll see y'all next time.
See y'all next time. Have a great weekend, people.